June 16th, 2022. In this section of the human population in New York, they, in community college, they had these two courses, that I didn't really know what they were. Actually, three courses. There was psychology, philosophy, and then there was sociology. I had never heard these concepts before. In the first 13 years of being held captivated, before then you had to seek out according to the area, whatever. I mean, like, it wasn't like a mentor or a counselor or a governor or a senator who said these things. This is just what the local delegates or delegates in this revolting whatever were propagating. That then you had to go seek out and pay for an education, more education, even, or more scholarly professions who are real pathetic, whatever, honestly. Not all, but a good portion of them. So there was this teaching of psychology. One thing that I walked away from is Pavlov's dog with the ringing of the bell. And this concept of, in a real baby formula way, they attribute this man by the name of Sigmund Freud, no idea who he is, don't know his background, did not pay any attention, the Americans did not pay any attention to this man's significance. It's a word in a book that then leads to a set of logic in one set example. And that's the way it's been in attempting to learn something about humans. So in this, it talks about the ego, the superego, and the id. Now, when I read by scripture and go spell, in Gospell, like a spellbound book, I don't know how Hollywood and the music industry got their award system and academy into an ISBN taught system in some. Now you got to go pay, even though you have no money and you have no skills and you have no training, but you have to keep trying to go after this jackass progression that the morons in America made up in some capital fight with some indentured servitude on the horizon. At least if you're born in 1978, that's like the best they got as far as humanity in this area. That's what the landscape looks like if we're talking screens and sets and executive and directors. That's what it was. It is what it is. So, but then I learned just recently on the nightly news that the Hollywood experts and the people who set trends and urban legends and the rumors, and then there's some real demigods somewhere in the system, and it's all tailored to this area. For me, it's New York. I'm sure Paris has a version. I'm sure London has a version. I'm sure if there's anywhere else in the world that's important, Rome, that's an important place. They have some tailor. Because for me, it's always, it's London and Paris, and then Rome gets thrown in there every now and again, and then New York. Don't know why. For anchors of reality going on simultaneously, I guess, as a benchmark in a bar for some kind of inter-policing to see what's going on in shifts and population control and whatever storylines. So my specialty or my discipline being New York educated, but from like the outside looking in or from the inside looking out, depending if I'm speaking stereo towards heliosphere in like Heliopolis kind of a method. Because like I know they're sitting in a heliosphere viewing theater and then they go counsel in some like Heliopolis thing. But whatever on that. So now for them, it's Emmys, Grammys, and Oscars at their like home box office. So I'm just curious because I really fell in love with someone at the MFA when the world ceased to exist. And he gave me a piggyback, physically gave me a piggyback lift, for which I just clung on to him and I was just so happy that he found me. And I'm just like, oh my God, please just don't put me down and just don't let go of me. I never want to leave your side. Whoever that was. In one person. In one human that felt right. So according to them, ego on the nightly news in New York is Emmys, Grammys, and Oscars. So then there's like a super ego. I don't know who that would be in this scenario. And then there's the id, which is the ID. And like I don't get more in depth than that with the level of non-important. I mean, was there really a Sigmund Freud? Perhaps. Was he really significant somewhere? Perhaps. Did they really drive that factor home here? No. So again, with their day labels, and then they become, once they die off, they become words in a vocabulary in some socially engineered construct. In my instance, it feels like it totally failed from an RH negative perspective. It succeeded for a lot of people that I don't really think it was originally designed for, but they took it over with such zest and zeal and then rewrote and erased out the parts that they didn't want to share with, and it feels like I'm part of that portion. They just railroaded and like rewrote over, got some agreement from someone somewhere. And so here I sit in no idea. You want to know what it was like to grow up in this section? Here it is, in a nutshell. Totally useless, worthless, and there's no way out. And now it's like there's no way to even enjoy or live because it's just get up, try to find something to do, try to participate, try to make some money. But now at this stage, there is no money. Where the person who gave me the piggyback was, I have no idea. How do you get word to that person? How do you know how to find that person? How do you ask that person for help? What's that person involved with? I have no idea. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. But as far as the ego, the super ego, and the id is concerned, it's some socially engineered mental construct that someone's family built into some further education system. I suppose to protect themselves of sorts or have some grappling hook for some kind of lawman wherever they are. I met a principal once. I thought that was the most interesting conversation. I'm like, you're a principal? Now, I've only heard principal like at the local useless schools, but I've heard principal also in like a stockbrokerage kind of way. But I have no idea what that actually means because I didn't take that level of licensing. I got whatever licenses I obtained. And I'm like, so now that's fascinating. And it was like a science principle. And now then I was like totally fascinated. I'm just like, again, I don't even know. I'm so like in awe. But like, I don't know even like where to begin questions. Like, I mean, what does it look like? Like, I think I even mentioned that. Like, that's impressive to me. And like meeting someone. But for the most part,